Hello everyone, Dice here and I hope you're all doing well. Now, I'm wanting to talk today about one thing in Cyberpunk Red that kinda caught me off guard when I started to really dig into the game. So, to make this all easier to follow in terms of the tabletop game and all the lingo, I'll at least give a quick idea of what multiclassing is for Red first. Then, I'll go into the actual good stuff and why I want to bring some more attention to the flexibility it brings. To get the basics out of the way, in Cyberpunk Red, you have 10 roles, and those are what define your character's flair. Cyberpunk Red is a very skill-focused game rather than having a ton locked behind roles, so each role has the main thing that they're good at, which is their role ability. If you want to know about each role in and of itself, there's a playlist I'll put above in the cards and also down in the description. I'm not going to go over each individual role here in this video, that's why I made the quick shorts and all that. So yeah, this first part is going to be the technical stuff, all the mechanics and whatnot, but I'll have timestamps below too if you just want to skip it and get to the actual discussion. Essentially, your role is your flavor. It gives you all your goodies when you're making your character and all the new life path choices along with it. It is your class. But picking a role doesn't lock you in permanently from other skills. It's not like a whole tier of skills just got locked away from you because you decided to go nomad instead of a solo. Now, when you make a character, your role ability will start at rank 4. When you progress and spend some improvement points, you can bump your role ability up a bit, or take up another. You cannot do this in character creation, you can only start as a single role. But when you take up another role, like for example, you're a rocker boy and decide to dip into solo, you start at rank 1 on that new role. You can't then take another role at rank 1 until that new second role becomes rank 4, like your original role. Some GMs limit how many additional roles you can take, which is most of the time a limit of like 2 or 3 per single character. This is normal, this is just them trying to balance stuff out. When you begin leveling a new role, you don't get any new batches of skills or items unless there is something tied to your role ability that will allow you to. Like, for example, Exec at rank 1 gives you a free business suit. But that's honestly how multiclassing and roles work in Cyberpunk Red, including the main limitation. There is no skill or stat requirement mechanically, you just need the improvement points to spend. And you just need to not already have another role you're trying to get to rank 4. That's it. It's really that simple. Now, before you do any type of multiclassing, have a reason other than just wanting the role ability of another role. Make it make sense in your game. Don't just suddenly show up and go, "Alright, I want a free apartment. I'm an exec now." How did you get there? Who hired you? What skill did you provide to make a company want you? Answer stuff like that whenever you're wanting to take on a new role. A good example is Kay, played by my friend Nick in our own Cyberpunk Red game. Kay, also known as Cristobal, is his media. He really liked the exec role already and wanted to give it a run, and inspired by some of the stuff I'm going to go over here, he picked up exec, was hired by N54 News, and became what is essentially a star reporter instead of just a media. It made sense, it fit his character, and it pushed his character's progression along further in his own story. So, depending on your table, I really encourage you to think about going this route when picking up a new role. Because, remember, you cannot level any other role of yours until that brand new role hits rank 4. Also on the streets, you're going to be known just as that new role once word starts getting around. Even though you've been a rocker boy for a while, the moment you decide to start up some nomad stuff, people will know you as a nomad. And no, it does not stop you from using your rocker boy ability. It's just how people on the street will recognize you. So, why do I care so much about this? Well, the reason I care so much about it and why I have so much fun with it is the new spins it can bring to the game using multiclassing. You already can easily reflavor roles to be what you want, like switching an exec into a mob boss or a lawman into a ganger that calls in other gang members to help instead of other cops. But even just combining 2 roles together bring on a whole new vibe to this game. Hell, take Johnny Silverhand as a prime example of what a multiclass role would be. Johnny is, without a doubt, a rocker boy solo multiclass. He got the background of a solo, the skills to show it off, but is at heart a rocker boy who is willing to do all he can to fight in his own way. And, well, if they don't listen, he kicks down a door or 3. But now, take that role, rocker boy, and splice in a netrunner, and as listed here, you've now got yourself a virtual prankster, who is someone who hacks a network and leaves behind viruses to basically turn the entire corp's interface against them, and basically turns it into a statement of truth that they want to share. Or hell, have some fun and take up exec as a rocker boy, and now you're a producer. A campaign where you're an up-and-coming producer trying to start a label and having to deal with the business side of the dark future can have its own twists and troubles. You see what I'm getting at here a little bit? Yeah, I'm about to go into a few others here. And for each of these roles, there is a reverse of the multiclass that can be just as interesting. But yeah, let's see. Fixer. Fixer's a good one, really good one. Fixer already has that blending aspect of fitting into the world where needed. But when you mix in another role, you get something like a Fixer when you blend it with a solo, a Monarch. Now a Monarch, as called here, would essentially be the king of their own neighborhood. You sit and protect your small plot of land in the crazy city around you, you make sure it is as good as it can be, and take care of those within it. This would be an excellent gang leader role, or even a community lead. Or you can blend in Lawman, and you'll be able to pull off an Undercover, which is honestly one of the better multiclasses you can get in terms of flavor. It also fills in that why is a lawman running with a bunch of edge runners hole. But yeah, after Fixer, let's now take Exec, a role that whenever I was first learning the game, I felt didn't really fit. It was not my favorite role at all, and it surprised me how cool it actually has turned out to be. Multiclassing it though causes some of the coolest potential roles in this entire set. Want to run a nightclub as a club owner? Cross Exec with Rocker Boy. Want to be a corporate spy or counter intel? Mix Exec with a Netrunner. You can even truly get a proper Netwatch agent by going Exec and Tech together. At first thought, you would think it'd be a kind of Netrunner too, but no. In terms of what abilities you need to fill those shoes, it falls definitely into the Tech role. You can do things like take Solo and Fixer, smash them together, and you got yourself a deadly efficient arms dealer. And let's face it, if you got a good team behind you to keep the supplies coming in, this can be a whole campaign in and of itself once more. Or snag Lawman and cross it with a Solo for C-SWAT, more popularly known as MaxTac. Yes, the MaxTac build is a Lawman solo, and that's food for thought there too, as dealing with cyber psychos would need that much more training. This is actually a role combo I'm working up towards on my own Lawman Carver. The reason I'm pointing all this out is hopefully starting to show. Just a single role can be done well, but there's a flexibility with the roles of Cyberpunk Red that you really can't easily get elsewhere. Coming from D&D, for me, multiclassing would just be fun ways to pick up additional abilities and perks I couldn't get with my main class. And way too often, I'd multiclass into Rogue just to get expertise. Playing for power rather than theme can be pretty common with that. Coffee locks, for example, other game-breaking tweaks, you name it. Multiclassing in any game can bring that vulnerability in and also throw balance way off. So that's why I'm thankful that at least in Cyberpunk Red, you're locked into getting that new role to rank 4, rather than just dipping 1 or 2 levels into whatever roles you want, like a jack of all trades. The game actually tries to make sure you can keep what you're specialized in. We've had examples of characters that don't fit into certain molds visible even in 2077, like Rogue, who despite being a Fixer is indeed a solo in Fixer Cross. Then you got Thompson, who is a media, but he's clearly crossed with a solo. Really tapping into multiclassing and getting the exact character you want is a charm that Red does have, and you also don't need to rely so heavily on homebrew to pull it off. I hope this has opened up some eyes to the potential that multiclassing in this game can bring. The potential builds alone scream for their own stories to be told. And yeah, it's hard for me to not keep on listing them. There is a lot in this little booklet I've been pulling from. All the information I provided today comes from one of RTG's free supplements, by the way. It's called Collecting the Random, and I'll link it down below in the description. And these are all just suggestions too, because some of them are pretty funny. Like, for example, Rocker Boy and Nomad being called a singing cowboy. I would spin that a different way, only because I don't need the song stuck in my head from that era in TV and movies. Take care, everyone, and I hope you find a good table.